Drop in a ididit steering column that has 8-position tilt column, and we're going to be then replacing our steering wheel with a Grant steering wheel that replicates the wooden GT look of the Mustang. Today we're working with Executive Director Mark Simpson and his son Gary. Never hurts to have more hands on deck, and disassembly of the old stock components is going to be a lot more difficult than putting the new ones in. Our stock steering box actually has a shaft attached to it that runs all the way through the steering column. First thing we're going to do, remove the steering wheel and steering column to make a little bit more room for that shaft, so we have a little bit more wiggle room so we can get out of the car.
Space is at a real premium under these early Mustangs. In order to get access to the gearbox, we needed to remove the driver's side headers and the driver's side front wheel. To get started on our column project, we got to remove the horn button first. Pretty easy on these early Ford. Depress it all the way, turn it about 20 degrees counterclockwise, and it'll snap free. Be sure to remove the negative cable on your battery before starting the project, otherwise this step will really wake up your buddies under the hood. Our next step was to remove the steering wheel. Steering wheel puller works great for taking off steering wheels. If you've ever tried to take off a wheel in a junkyard or been out in a salvage yard, you can do it by taking the nut off the end and getting, somebody to pull on the wheel while you lightly tap on the shaft. It will come free. But you gotta look out, somebody's gonna end up with a face full of steering wheel. With the wheel off, our plan was to remove all the steering components, including the turn signal switches and the electronics from the top of the column. We knew we needed to reuse the part of our actual wiring harness for the turn signal system with our new ididit columns. It's time to remove the brackets that actually hold the column tube in place. There are 2 bolts under the dash and then just a rubber grommet that holds it in the floor. It's always good to take a little time when removing original parts because, even though we're doing a modification and an upgrade, you can always save the parts to be sold with the car later on, or you can make a few bucks on eBay by selling them. Before removing the steering assembly, we'll wrap the steering shaft in shop rags and zip tie them on. This will keep the shaft from scratching the dash or getting grease on the upholstery as we remove it.
These early Mustangs didn't use a power steering gearbox. Instead they used a power slave cylinder, and in order to remove this pitman arm, we are going to have to drop this out of the way to get the puller on the pitman arm.
Early Fords used a power slave cylinder instead of like a power gearbox. The way it works is just a basic hydraulic cylinder, hydraulic pump setup. The slave cylinder is connected between the frame rail and the center of the tie rod. The slave cylinder basically functions as a hydraulic cylinder that when pressure is applied to it, it generates a pulse to either go right or left and operate much like a hydraulic cylinder of a log splitter or something like that, where it actually creates a force to assist with the actual steering of the car. The hardest part of any job like this often is things like the pitman arm. It's been attached to the steering gearbox since 1967. Of course, on video, everything always looks a lot simpler. It actually took us 45 minutes to pull off the pitman arm. We applied heat, we had a puller on it, we actually burned up one puller and had to go back to the parts store and pick up another. Thank goodness for lifetime warranties on those things.
Now that we got the stock components out, you can really see the difference between the two. This unit here, out of the old style from Mustang's inception to mid-67, all came this way with the shaft that ran all the way through the steering column. Mid-67, they went to a unit such as this. It comes with a rag joint. It reduces a lot of the vibration that you feel on the road and makes driving a lot more pleasurable. The nice thing about one of these units is its tighter turning ratio. It gives you, better response and a lot more aggressive performance feel to it. The steering column that we're sticking in today is ididit's direct fit for early muscle cars. This one is specifically for the Mustang. It does have 8-position tilt on it, which is very nice. This is a GM-based column and does have a GM-based wiring harness, but they do send along a adapter harness so this can go right in your Mustang.
We are right now getting ready to install the new steering box. It has indexing marks on the output shaft that correlate to the pitman arm. We started by turning the wheels in the car all the way to the left, and we turned the gearbox all the way to the left. When we install this, we should be able to line up the pitman arm with the indexing keys every quarter turn, and we should be in the right ballpark.
The instructions that came with our ididit column were very helpful in getting us 99% of the way. We had one wire that was a different color than one of the ones on their plans, but after a little thinking and a little sorting out, we managed to get everything working perfectly. The final step in any project like this is to make sure everything works. The turn signals, the emergency flashers, the horn, as well as the steering are all important factors in success in this project. When we finally got everything together, we realized that our column wasn't grounded well enough. We had so many coats of epoxy primer and matched paint on the column that we actually had to go back into the support bracket area and scrape a little paint off so we had good contact so the column would get a good ground. Other than that, the project went together really well.
The installation of our steering components today couldn't have gone better. To be honest with you, it's probably the easiest installation we've done in the Street Thunder garage. Simple hand tools. Say it's going to be about an 8-hour affair. Always kind of nice to have a buddy on hand to help you out with a little bit. We took it out for a test drive and we really loved the aggressiveness of the new quick ratio box. We did notice that our steering wheel was just a little bit off center. So we brought it back and made a little bit of adjustment. Our overall impressions, we love it, but the real test is going to be up to the owners.